Do you care when someone is late? What if it was for a first date? Here's a step-by-step guide on how not to take a girl on a date. First, don't be late. Be on time. Show her that you are punctual and that you respect her time. Second, have a plan or the idea of a plan. Lastly, pay for the date, or at least have some form of plan to pay for parts of the date. Or just text her beforehand. Let her know that you're not going to be able to pay for the date and that you want to split the bill. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my experience as a worst date in my speech called How to Lose a Girl in One Date. The first point I'm going to make is that he was late to the date. I waited outside at about 7 p.m. That's the time we were supposed to meet. 7:05 rolled around. I was checking my phone. 7:07, 7:10, 7:15, where I finally called him and asked him if he was still coming or if I was being stood up. He reluctantly just responded and said that he was on the way. This showed me that he didn't really respect my time and didn't really give that much thought into it to send me a text beforehand letting me know that he was going to be late for the date. We were already off to a rough start. Being late to a date is typically wrong. I would say, personally, I've never been late to a date, and it shows the other person greater respect, that you do respect their time and that you are a punctual person. Being late to the date is forgivable, though it's not a very good first impression. If you show up late for a first date with not a single idea on what we're doing or where we're going, you might be put in a situation where you're not going at all. My second point is going to be no effort to make a plan. Having a plan for a date shows that you're thoughtful and you plan ahead, that you care enough about the other person to put some thought into where you guys are going. Showing up for a date with no plan really put me in an awkward position because first he was late and I was already off in a bad mood. Secondly, I had no idea where we were going and I hadn't even looked up anywhere that we wanted to go to for dinner. Rough start to a first date. Having to decide the restaurant after he was late sent the date into a downward spiral, but my standards were officially lowered after the bill was sat on the table. The date so far was already going pretty negatively until that final moment where the bill was set down and he kind of looked at me like I was gonna pay. And I was like, oh, I don't have my wallet with me. And he reluctantly said that he didn't have his wallet with him either. So it was a little uncomfortable because what kind of date is this? First, you're late. Second, I made the plan. And third, I have to pay. Expecting your date to pay for dinner is honestly an uncomfortable position because there was no planning ahead. There was no text like, hey, prepare, like you might have to bring some money with you. Paying for a date is like a kind gesture. It helps leave a positive impression, especially when you are the one that extended the invitation. Today we reviewed how not to take a girl on a date. Don't be late. Have a plan, or at least have a plan to pay. Not thinking ahead can ruin a first date pretty quickly. If you're going out with a girl for the first time, show up on time. Bring some money, because sometimes that's all you need to get a second one. A few unintentional mistakes are human and can happen on a first date, but showing up late with no plans or no plans to pay for dinner without as much of a heads up or a text can make a lasting impression. So if your goal is a second date, remember what not to do.